It is over. The Senate finds President Clinton not guilty.
The Senate, sitting as a court of impeachment, stands adjourned sine die.
And now the president looks to the future.
This can be, and this must be, a time of reconciliation and renewal for America.
This is the CBS Evening News, with Dan Rather reporting tonight from Washington.
Good evening. The verdict is in. President Clinton will stay in office. The push by Republicans to remove him failed today. The vote wasn't even close to the two-thirds majority required, that'd be 67 votes, on either one of the two impeachment counts for perjury and obstruction of justice. From Capitol Hill, Bob Schieffer reports on a defining day for the president, Congress, and the country.
It was just past noon Eastern Time when the Chief Justice formally posed the question, was the president guilty of perjury?
Senators, how say you? Is the respondent, William Jefferson Clinton, guilty or not guilty?
In a stinging defeat for House prosecutors, the measure did not even win support of a simple majority of senators. 10 Republicans, Chafee, Collins, Jeffords, Snow, Specter, Gordon, Shelby, Stevens, Thompson, and Warner joined all 45 Democrats in saying not guilty, and the perjury charge was defeated 55 to 45. 5 of those Republicans also voted for acquittal on the second charge, obstruction of justice. That left the Senate split 50-50, again far short of the 67 votes required to remove the president from office. So it was done. The Chief Justice made it official.
Two-thirds of the senators present not having found him guilty of the charges contained therein. It is therefore ordered and adjudged that the said William Jefferson Clinton be, and he hereby is, acquitted of the charges in the said articles.
It was a bitter result for Chief Prosecutor Henry Hyde, who led the impeachment drive, but he said he hopes independent counsel Ken Starr will drop the case now.
I don't think indicting and criminally trying him after what we have all been through is going to be helpful to the country.
To senators on both sides, the system had worked.
As the roll was called, as the decision was made, I thought to myself, the Constitution lives in protecting the American people from partisan acts.
27 Democrats and 9 Republicans signed a censure resolution condemning the president for shameless, reckless, and indefensible behavior that had demeaned his office and brought shame and dishonor to himself. But Republicans blocked it.
The problem with the censure resolution right now is that I think the Senate is tired. We've done what we were required to do in the Constitution. Censure is extra-constitutional. It's outside the Constitution.
So after a year of turmoil, the trial ended without even a verbal reprimand from the Senate. Perhaps appropriate for a story with so many strange twists, there was a strange end. As the final votes were being taken, a bomb threat was reported. The Senate recessed and hundreds of tourists, reporters, senators, and staffers streamed out of the Capitol. As police searched for a bomb, even senators had to stop talking.
We need to clear this area because of a threat.
No bomb was found, but after weeks of tension brought on by the trial, it turned out to be a pleasant break on a rare sunny afternoon in February. But by nightfall, a huge storm had swept through the area. Most of the senators left town for their home states, and for the first time in a long time, Washington was getting ready to think about something else. Dan.
Bob Schieffer on Capitol Hill. President Clinton appeared in the White House Rose Garden this afternoon to give his first official reaction to the verdict and the year of events leading up to it. The president expressed his regrets and relief and kept his comments brief. We want to give you an opportunity to see and hear what the president said in its entirety, including the one question afterward that the president first hesitated, then chose to answer.
Now that the Senate has fulfilled its constitutional responsibility, bringing this process to a conclusion, I want to say again to the American people how profoundly sorry I am for what I said and did to trigger these events and the great burden they have imposed on the Congress and on the American people. I also am humbled and very grateful for the support and the prayers I have received from millions of Americans over this past year. Now I ask all Americans, and I hope all Americans, here in Washington and throughout our land, will rededicate ourselves to the work of serving our nation and building our future together. This can be, and this must be, a time of reconciliation and renewal for America. Thank you very much.
In your heart, sir, can you forgive and forget?
I believe any person who asks for forgiveness has to be prepared to give it.
That, in its entirety, was what President Clinton had to say. Now we go to CBS News White House correspondent Scott Pelley. Scott, at the end, the president seemed to be making some intentional reference to forgiving people. Any idea who he had in mind?
Well, it wasn't at all clear, Dan. The president didn't watch the vote today. His chief of staff called him on the phone to tell him what the results were and also to give him some appraisal of who voted for him and against him. So the president might have been referring to those senators or his opponents in the House or even Ken Starr. We asked the president's spokesman, Joe Lockhart, who the president might have met, and Joe said, "I'll have to make up a list."
Scott, it's been 131 years since the president had to wait for an impeachment verdict. What was it like there today?
Well, Dan, the president was writing his remarks as the Senate was rendering its verdicts. The hallways in the West Wing were all but deserted, but you could hear in the hallway the sound of guilty and not guilty as it came from the televisions in offices all around. The staff watched without joy. There was no celebration. This evening, the president sent an email, an apology to his staff that says, in part, "I know my actions and the events that they have triggered have made your work even harder, and for that, I am profoundly sorry."
Scott, Ken Starr can still try to indict the president in the regular criminal court system. Is there any indication of what Starr intends to do now?
Well, there is tonight, Dan. Lawyers familiar with the thinking in Ken Starr's office have told CBS News that it is extremely unlikely that Starr will move to indict the president while Mr. Clinton remains in office. We are told that Starr believes that there has been enough disruption in government already and simply doesn't want to cause any more. We are also given to understand that Starr does not want to move for a sealed indictment of the president because he simply doesn't believe that can remain secret until it's unsealed by a court 2 years hence. So it is possible that Starr will move to indict the president in 2 years, but probably not before that. Dan?
Scott Pelley at the White House. Vice President Al Gore was on his way to an appearance in Albany, upstate New York, at about the time the Senate was taking the impeachment vote. If the Senate had convicted President Clinton, Al Gore, under the 25th Amendment, would have become president automatically, immediately, wherever he was. First Lady Hillary Clinton made no public appearances and had no public reaction to the impeachment vote, but her spokeswoman, Marcia Berry, did give the First Lady's reaction to something else: the push by some influential Democrats for the First Lady to run for the U.S. Senate seat being vacated by Daniel Patrick Moynihan, Democrat of New York. Said Berry, and I quote, "I don't know that she's put a deadline on herself. I'm sure she will be giving thought to it," unquote. While there is no question that the not guilty vote today for President Clinton is a setback for Republican Ken Starr's $40 million plus investigation, the special prosecutor is not closing up shop, and it turns out there could be a new chapter in the book on him. CBS's Phil Jones is tracking that part of the Starr story.
Good morning, sir. Good morning, Judge Starr.
Kenneth Starr continues his 4.5-year investigation, and his office has discussed the possibility of seeking a criminal indictment against Bill Clinton. But Starr has his own problems now with the Clinton Justice Department. Under the independent counsel law, an independent counsel may be removed by the Attorney General for good cause.
I would not comment.
Attorney General Janet Reno will not talk publicly about any investigation, but Starr has been notified that his operation is being reviewed. Issues include, did Starr's lawyers mislead the Attorney General about their contact with Paula Jones' lawyers when they asked for authority to pursue Monica Lewinsky in January 1998? According to notes from all sides at that meeting, Starr's lawyers told the Justice Department, quote, "We've had no contact with the plaintiff's attorneys. We're concerned about appearances." That was not true. There had been contact. Also under review was Monica Lewinsky denied her legal rights when first confronted by Starr's investigators.
We made it clear to the witness that she was, in fact, free to leave, and the Ritz-Carlton, shall I say, is a fairly comfortable and commodious place.
And finally, there's the continuing court-ordered investigation to determine whether Starr and his team illegally leaked secret grand jury activities. Those supportive of Starr view the Justice Department investigation of the independent counsel as an attempt to build a case so the Attorney General can fire Starr before he can indict Bill Clinton. Phil Jones, CBS News, Washington.
Joining me now is CBS News political analyst Gloria Borgia. Gloria, the president now has 101 weeks left in office. Now, for the past 6 years, he and congressional Democrats, most of them, and that would include Tom Daschle, the Democratic leader in the Senate, Dick Gephardt, the leader in the House, well, they haven't really liked him, but they have defended him. They've been on the same side. Can that last?
I don't know for how long, Dan, but for now at least, congressional Democrats and the president find that they're actually on the same wavelength. It's not because the Democrats trust this president any more than they used to, or even that they like him very much. But suddenly what they have found is a mutual self-interest, and that is they can just taste winning back control of the Congress and keeping the presidency in the year 2000. And so that's going to be vindication for the president and, of course, for the First Lady. But Democrats will tell you privately, in the House in particular, they just want to get those committee chairmanships back. I talked with one Democratic strategist who explained it this way. He said, the president always plays out his hand based on what's best for him. Now, what's good for him is also good for the Democrats. And Dan, what that means is a mutual electoral strategy to win back control of the Congress.
Gloria Borgia, thanks. Keeping in mind that overnight's a long time in politics, a week is forever, and we're talking about an election that won't be held for almost another 2 years. For the past month, Americans watched one of the most rarely used provisions of the U.S. Constitution in action, but also on display the very first and most familiar words in the United States Constitution. Quote, "We the people." So what do the people think? CBS's Sandra Hughes has been sampling reaction.
Even though the events of the day were historic, they barely stopped traffic in Times Square. Those who did watch gave a collective sigh of relief.
I'm sorry, we're actually happy it's over now because it's just I think it's a waste of taxpayers' money.
Even if they didn't agree with the outcome.
And I just think it's too bad that for all the, especially for younger kids, to see that like he can cheat on his wife in his office with a girl who's, you know, his daughter's age and still come out on top.
You heard him correctly, said not proven.
That enthusiasm wasn't contagious.
I think he should go to prison like anybody else who commits perjury.
It was coffee time in Pasadena, California, where residents were just waking up when they found out it was all over.
It wasn't good for the country, the presidency, the family, the people, certainly the Congress.
But it's not all over for this district, which could be ground zero for impeachment fallout in the next election. Its Congressman James Rogan was a vocal House prosecutor.
He's energized me to, to work for his removal.
Oh, I think all us Republicans will still vote for him.
And I think people have short memories when it comes to this.
And while 2 years is said to be an eternity in politics, what remains to be seen is how soon Americans will forgive and forget both sides. Sandra Hughes, CBS News, Los Angeles.
Tonight, for an editor's note, at the end of a long and tortuous trail, we've come to the United States Capitol, the People's House, a monument to an ideal. You owe it to yourself and your family to get here for a visit sometime soon. The architecture alone is awe-inspiring, and the building is decorated with murals and statues, portraits of heroes. Believe it or not, many of them once served in the government. And as if to rub it in, today is Lincoln's birthday. History is hard on heroes. Even dead guys disappoint us. For example, lately we've been hearing about an alleged, quote, inappropriate, intimate relationship of Thomas Jefferson. Even these heroes may have feet of clay. It may not be unreasonable to look for heroes in our government today. In our reporting over the past year, we've hoped and tried very hard to find a hero or two in this saga of investigations, accusations, and impeachment. We haven't done very well. This story had its origin in some of the baser impulses of human nature, and it didn't often rise much higher than that. And no matter how much you wanted to admire any of the players in this drama, there was always somebody to tell you that the vote of conscience was political expedience, that the public appeal was grandstanding, that the noble gesture was self-interest, that the principled stand was hypocrisy. It seems that after a year of scandal, outrage, and apathy, we are left not far from where we started. But ours is still a government and a nation as sturdy as this beautiful building and as frail as the people inside it. Government of the people, by the people, and for the people shall not perish from the earth. Not today, anyway. Happy Lincoln's birthday. Dan Rather reporting for the CBS Evening News, tonight from our nation's capital. Good night.
For news 24 hours a day, CBS.com on the internet and on America Online at keyword CBS News.